Well, hi there, boys and girls and dads and moms, and welcome to PJs and Pillows. Tonight's book is called AGRUS. AGRUS was written by Michelle Knudsen, and the pictures are by Andrèa Wesson. Let's begin. Sally's class was doing a science project. Mrs. Henshaw handed out the eggs. "Mine looks different," said Sally. "Now, Sally," said Mrs. Henshaw, "don't be difficult. Some eggs just look different." The children kept their eggs warm in their brand new desktop incubators. Soon, the hatching began. "I see a beak," one boy shouted. "I see one too," the girl next to him called out. Sally's egg wobbled. A tiny crack appeared, then another. Something poked out a little bit of shell. "Is that a beak?" one boy asked. "I don't think so," said Sally. The cracks in Sally's eggs widened. Slowly, something emerged. It was green. It was scaly. It had big yellow eyes. "Mine looks different," said Sally. The other students gathered around to look. "Ew," they said. "Now, children," said Mrs. Henshaw, "don't be difficult. Some chicks just look different, that's all." Sally named her chick Argus. The class weighed and measured all the chicks. They took new measurements every day. Then they made line graphs showing the results. All of the other children's graphs showed small, neat diagonal lines. Sally's graph didn't. Next, the children drew pictures of their chicks to post on the walls. All of the other children's pictures were cute and yellow and very much alike. Sally's picture wasn't. "Good work, children," said Mrs. Henshaw. "Now let's investigate what our little chicks like to eat." "Mine likes seeds," one boy said. "Mine likes beetles," said another. "Mine is trying to eat the other chicks," said Sally. Mrs. Henshaw rushed over and rescued them. As the days passed, the chicks grew bigger. Argus was the biggest of them all. He stopped trying to eat the other chicks. He started trying to eat the children instead. "Mrs. Henshaw," the children complained. Mrs. Henshaw rushed over and rescued the children. The students began taking their chicks outside to peck in the grass at recess. Argus wasn't very good at pecking. He chewed a giant hole in the ground with his teeth. The other chicks fell into it. "Mrs. Henshaw," the children complained. Mrs. Henshaw rushed over and rescued the chicks. Sally and Argus had to move to a different part of the grass. Later that afternoon, Sally walked up to Mrs. Henshaw. "I don't think my chick is working out," she said quietly. "Now, Sally," said Mrs. Henshaw, "don't be difficult. Just go ahead and mark your chick's height on the wall with the other students." The other children knelt down to mark their chicks' heights. Sally had to use a stepladder. The next day at recess, Sally led Argus to his special area. Mrs. Henshaw had marked it off with orange cones for safety. Sally sat and watched the other chicks. They were all the same, cute and small, feathery and fluffy. The children chased them around, picking them up and petting their soft little heads. Sally couldn't even reach Argus's head unless he was lying down. The bell rang for the end of recess. Sally sighed. She turned around to get Argus. He wasn't there. Sally looked around the schoolyard. She ran to the gate and looked up and down the street. There was no sign of Argus anywhere. "Oh no!" cried Sally. She started to run back to class, then she stopped. Why was she so upset? With Argus gone, Mrs. Henshaw would probably let Sally share one of the other chicks. She could make graphs that looked just like everyone else's. She wouldn't have to sit by herself at recess. She could stop being different all the time. Sally lined up to go inside with the other students. She waited to feel relieved. She waited to feel happy. She kept waiting while she followed the other children down the hallway and back into the classroom. She waited while she went back to her seat. But she still didn't feel happy or relieved. She felt sad and worried. What if Argus was scared and lost? He was out there somewhere all alone. Slowly she raised her hand. "Yes, Sally?" asked Mrs. Henshaw. "It's Argus," Sally said. "He's gone." Then she burst into tears. The other children gathered around. They held their chicks tightly. "Don't cry, Sally," they said. "We'll help you look for him." "Yes," said Mrs. Henshaw firmly. "There's one thing your chick is good at. It's standing out. We'll find him." She took down some of Sally's drawings and handed them out to the students. They searched the neighborhood around the school. They showed the drawings to everyone they met, but no one had seen Argus. Sally got more and more worried. What if they never found him? Suddenly, they heard a scream. "Ah!" someone said. "What is that?" There was Argus, trying to peck for bugs in someone's front yard. "Argus!" Sally cried. She ran over and threw her arms around him. "Our lawn," said the people, whose lawn it was. "Thank you for finding our little lost chick," Mrs. Henshaw told them. "But what about these holes?" asked the lawn owners. Mrs. Henshaw handed them an orange cone. "Don't be difficult," she said. Then she quickly led the children back to school. Sally's chart that afternoon was the best one she ever made. Mrs. Henshaw gave her a big gold star. Sally looked at it hanging up on the wall with the other charts. "Mine looks different," she said, and she smiled. And that is the end of the story. So brush your teeth, give hugs to the people that you love, and have sweet dreams. Good night.